people excited?
Yep, very good.
Awesome.
Where are you off to now?
Kind of making our way back down towards the coast.
Yeah.
End up at probably Lake Central.
Where is the trip?
Start and go straight up here. Day one.
Oh, day one.
Yeah, and then head back down to Lake Central.
No, I think my truck can afford.
它这不这里就是另外一个在里面。
Any questions on the way, just fire them out. We'll go through 5 chambers today. The first 3 chambers, they're not hard, just making you way, you just got to bend in a bit, us adults. Splashing down the tunnel here, there's a scaffolding area, and it's just a little bit low. Other than that, chambers 4 and 5 are really easy, they're really high, it's all the stairs again, got 150 and 60, but again, it's not hard. So anyway, just basics of rules, so I know they've done them down there. So no selfie sticks, backpacks or anything like that. Watch your heads in the first few chambers and just give this a rub before you go in. That's the limestone. That's what it feels like. Once we're inside, we can't touch anything other than handrails, take photographs. So, but it's obviously easy to break and to put your oils on, which stops it growing. So anyway, I'll acknowledge traditional owners of the land. This is the Gunaikurnai people. 5 different clans of Aboriginal people who are in joint management Park Victoria, about 10 sites and reserves in the Gippsland area, including Buchan Caves Reserve here. Their links around here is at least 26,000 years, if not more, is the current thinking. They didn't live here all year round, they lived at the Gippsland Lakes. They came into this area used as a meeting area. They also used certain caves about 10,000 years ago, the Magic Men. They also hunted around here as well. There's lots of tools found, some real rare cave art as well in certain caves, and lots of other things as well. So anyway, we acknowledge them as traditional owners of the land. We acknowledge and pay respect to their elders, past, present, and future. Right, let's go. Right, so watch the stairs. You want to head down there, wait for me down bottom.
Let's stay.
Oh dear, you were not wrong when you said this was tight.
Stop!
I'm trying to do it.
Stop. Because I'm trying to
I'll go
see how the house. See, you're the dad.
Did you want to slide from me? Let us go. Let you go behind us. Then someone touches something in the entire case and it's collapsing. I have to crouch. Look at the dinosaur scales. Who are you laughing at? Everyone knew that. Why? Well,
Bella.
Okay, now I wish I had one second on the phone.
Bella.
So where we are here, the first chamber, this is called the octopus chamber. I would think, after the features up here, which is the flowstone jewels, look a little bit like an octopus. In the other cave, which there isn't in here, there isn't actually an octopus squid family fossil. It's called the Nautilus, which is a bit this big. And that's what I expect finding here, but that's just me. So 80 metres that way is the next cave. So between the 4th and 5th chamber, which are no longer open, the Blackwood chamber and the Amber Bank, literally there's a set of steps and there's a gap like this underneath. And that's where, in 1910, Frank Moon, who discovered the first cave in March 1907, Hercules Brown, local policeman, and the manager they brought in June 1907, Freddie John Wilson, who'd been caretaker manager of Gunaikurnai Caves one time, came through 80 metres or more this way to discover the second cave. It would not have been easy, let's put it that way. More likely greased up because they tried various holes and they found this one to come all the way through. Frank Moon led this. They actually got stuck because they were pushing through mud. And in the accounts I was reading last night, Frank Moon luckily found somewhere else. He came over the top of a waterfall feature and down. And that's how they come. He dropped about 10 foot down, he was saying. And they got through into here. So, and then they got into here and they still would have had fun when they got through here, let's say the least. So what they worked out, the only way really they could do any work in here or open it for tourism was to put a tunnel through. That's what we've just come down. So in 1913, 3 years later, they dug in, drilled in, put gelignite in, blasted it, and then took it back out on a mine cart. And then tour work. So pretty much everything would have been bought in this way. There's no exit till 1929, 1930. So basically, if you're on those early tours, you'd be kind of like Lantern, walking on wooden planks to the original creek bed. You wouldn't go as deep as we do today and turn back around. The real basic era, you know, it's not long ago. 20s, 30s generator power, 1969, 70, we got concrete floor. So, feature-wise, so those ones are called straws, drinking straws. There's a 10 mil and hollow in the inside. The white is basically calcite crystal, and the water basically runs down the side of them. It's the dissolving of this, the limestone by water, rainwater, and that's the basis of it. It's like an acid on it. It strips down, dissolves a little bit of that, and what it does, it takes the calcium carbonate out of the limestone. That's what drips through. It evaporates like hard water shower, making a crystal. That's what it leaves, that little bit, and that's what grows. So these are on the next chamber. There's one on the right hand side, which is probably about 1/2 metre in length. And then they thicken out to columns, which are those there, top to bottom. Stalactites, which are these ones, those are totally infilled. That's the difference. And these ones here, the brown, it is iron oxide. It picks that up as it runs through. Stalactites first, stalagmite on the bottom. So stalagmite and tidal join together over a massive amount of time, and they create a column pillar again, that one there. If it flows over the stone, it's flowstone. Simple as that. So stalactites, straws, and stalagmites, around about 1 centimetre is about 100 years of growth, give or take. Some of the features are, some of the flowstone they think is when the river run through or the river ran through.
Yes.
Longer straws, these ones are raw. Nothing living Down? Yeah. Cool. So where we are here, well, I'll talk here, then we'll rotate round after so we can all get in the photograph. This area is called the Font of the Gods in the second chamber. The fonts are so these are called calcite rim pools. And this is the biggest set we've got with water in out of the 2 feature caves. Pretty much in the other cave, there's only one pool, small one, with water in now. And they've all dried up since the end of January, the summer holidays then. So water would have come through here in a river, it would have come over the top, and it creates these slowly but surely like a waterfall effect. And then eventually it lays over the top and it creates this one. This is not the norm, there's not many like this which are deep and thick like this really. There's only one cave I can think of which I've been in around here which has got one big in, that's because it's significantly older than the centre of the valley. So this is called Niagara Falls, this one here. You can call it whatever you want, I like wave rock. Kids like a big hippo, magic unicorn, big pumpkin, take your pick. Many descriptions. So normally it's like a little bit like a coral loop like this, or it's like quite a sparkly and thin layer. This is incredibly deep, so it's nearly a metre deep all through. It's an amazing feature. So you get a big range of straws through here. You also get really big stalagmites. What you also get as well, all these, see that one there, these here, these are the ones that run down the ceiling. So instead of directly the water dripping down, the water runs along one drip at a time, picks up the iron oxide, basically called shawls, blankets or rugs. If you twist around a bit, it can be called lamb's ears, dog's ears, pig's ears. Best examples are these behind us. So I'll just show you in here, these ones here. See those are like the shawls, curtains, blankets, whatever you want to call them really. These ones are like your lamb's ears, these are like your spaniel, dog's ears, pig's ears. So it just depends. You can see how thin they are because of the lighting through. And this is why so much netting throughout here, because one, we've got thin straws and also it's so fragile. So some of them in the other cave, if you get them, there are hardly any iron oxide in, and you can get one not far away, it almost looks like rusty. So it just depends on what you pick up. So they're just beautiful. So right here, above your head, use your phone lights, because that's the best way nowadays. That little bit of white in the ceiling there, those are the remains of little things that used to live in the seas. So basic life. So like I was saying to you before, there is a squid octopus fossil in the other cave of that family. It's a cephalopod. There's lots there, and there's lots above your head right here. So you'll be able to see with your phone lights. They just look like little shells, and that's basically what they are really. So basic life, this is the oldest thing in the cave. 380, 400 million years ago, this would have been a shell of a warm sea. Mix that with the corals and everything else, you squeeze that together, a few quirks in that, and that's what makes up the limestone. And that basically was what gets dissolved over time by the river running through and dropping and the rainwater coming in. The only other difference is about 45 million years ago we got volcanics around here. It lifts the limestone and twists it over. And that's probably the only other quirk in it along the way. So, easiest way I'm going to do this, if you just go over to your left and we'll just walk to here.
So, when there's been big rain,
yeah. Sometimes. It doesn't affect it that much, if I'm being honest. Yeah, it's not obvious. More obvious is when it drops down.
Yeah.
So like the other caves, since the end of Jan, pretty much just an area of small ones called the Ferris swimming pools, that's all dried out.
Yeah.
And even the big one in the last 2 weeks is dropping down. Amazingly, even though because we've had more rain in the last 2 weeks than we've had for the last 4 months or so. But really, yeah, they're beginning to drop out because we're definitely in that really drier time now from what we've had for the last 18 months, 2 years. So, yeah, you jump that way and then you stay right at the back, you come to here and then I'll just get you to go back and go slightly left. And what we'll do then, and then we'll spin around that way. We get you you get real scale in here, so you won't see anything like this. We'll leave it in here. I'll show you more detail on this tiny. Some old ones are like your thing, you've got light, you go like that way. And yeah, you're not going to get light really good.
We're looking through the harness walls.
Anywhere else in the cave. What you put on that one? I think it's called Many a Person, that one on the left there. So it's definitely white, it's got shine as well. So looking like a body there, because people close to go with the So anyway, this is called the Reed Chamber. Beautiful chamber, this one. And pretty much outside of the Fairy Cave, the King's Chamber, this is the most sparkle you'll see. Most of it in this cave, there's little bits around, most of it's in darkness. So that left side sums up the change conditions. That, the end of December, that would all be wet. By the end of January, it started coming back sparkle like this. And that's the big change I've seen in these caves. And now it's completely come back like that. So, this side, only occasionally during the last 2 years, water would run down it. And it would lose a lot of lustre. Pretty much about 4 to 5 days, it dries out and comes back like this. So, the last time I've seen any water actually running down the side was one side, that was mid-December, really. From October towards the end of 21 to 22, this cave run for 6 weeks, water down the side. But again, it was only 1 to it. I think the last 2 was the day we actually closed up for. The Fairy Cave was closed at that time. The Fairy Cave gets more affected, but again, pretty much it's a dry cave. So you get this beautiful sparkle in here, which looks like diamonds, and I wish it was. So if we get paid by that, that'd be brilliant. But unfortunately, it's not. It's the reflection of the calcite crystal, that's the main theory of it. It's movement of water with the calcium carbonate. So when it runs out of that, that's why it layers like this. The more common look of it is like that, like a coral look. So this is called a glacier, or the skates like this one. Take your pick. That one there, you get really good corals through it and straws. That one with a lot more detail, the shawls on the top, that's called the palm tree. That one there? That one there. So there's lots of things that we like things. Dating wise, these are the gravels from the original riverbed that ran through. These are the university studies. So where those pegs are, that's where they took samples from. So approximately from that samples, you can date this at this depth to about 7,000 to 80,000 years ago. So give or take. This is when there's lots of water in the valley. And there's also mudstone either side of the valley as well, so you can travel round about how high it was as well. It's a mere trickle today under our feet. And with 2 springs in the other caves, that's what comes through and feeds into the swimming pool. So that's why the swimming pool is cold. So it's only been reopened this last week. Locals are using it like anything, but it's been closed since November 2019. So it's good to open actually. Yeah. And it's just a beautiful area. So we're going to go down now. This is the longest chain we'll go through today. We'll go down, and we'll actually go down and see some beautiful shawls that have been around. So they're some of the best, in my opinion anyway, coloration-wise. They're not the biggest we've got. And then what there is a set of steps into there. Them set of steps are used about 1930s when they concreted in here, to about 1970s. What they realised was technology was changing. Electricity come in, they could highlight the area, there's no need for people walking anymore. So they fenced it off. In the last 50 years, because it's incredibly wet, it's been covered over. It's the one thing, looking lights on your phone, you can physically see that's changed. Everywhere else really is a minute amount of growth. Then we'll go down. We're at the lowest point of the cave, 65 metres down. There's a big hole above us. which doesn't quite go to our level. And then they go through again, another big one. And we're going through some big changes. Okay, feel good?
Yeah.
Keep going. You got your photographs and stuff? Yeah. Cool. Just making sure it. I'm going to put the light off. Right, we'll keep going.
Sorry, John.
I guess that's where we're going.
No.
So where we are here, this is called the Princess Royal Chamber. And this is when we start getting to our higher features. So a big array, we've got Bentley one. And we've pretty much done a big set of stairs. So what you get in here, one, you get these great big boulders all around us. So that's when there's water in here about 18,000 years ago. And that's how it affects, that's how caves form. It slowly dissolves and some of the ceiling moves forward or drops in or so. Since then it's obviously completely changed in circumstances. There's no water in here anymore. You get a massive stalagmite down there which is compassed, it's called Cleopatra's Needle. You can see between where I am here because it makes a good shot between the rocks. And here on the ceiling, you get these. These are our biggest set in this cave of halactites. They look like spaghetti noodles. They drop down, they weave around, and they defy gravity. They used to be classed as cave mysteries. Today they've got a lot more idea on this. So basically when it twists out, it hits the air, it twists back on itself, and twists around. But it's still very complex, I guess. So what you get as well are these really big shawls. They start up here, and there, especially that one runs all the way down to the ceiling. And these ones here as well. Probably got a lot of set. So, it doesn't get any easy to make. So in here, this is probably, other than just the next part, this will be the oldest part of the cave we've got. Sheer size alone will tell you this. And this, without any shadow of a doubt, as a great cave, this is the biggest covering of area we've got. Like it's covered with flowstone, shawls and everything else. So this is the area, they named quite a few of the big features, so I'll show you a few here. So this is called the Templar Piece, this one right there. It's a beautiful feature. For me, it either looks like a dragon with a head here, or it looks like a big birthday cake with candles. It depends as you look, and you get like an animal asleep right there as well. Well, this one here? Yeah. Looks, I don't know what it looks like. It looks like, I don't know. I used to say Jabba the Hutt's palace from Return of the Jedi Star Wars, but it's not quite that, to be honest. This one here is the jaw of the crocodile. That one there, it's got real scale, that one. So I really like that one. And then that one there, again, unique strip, you don't really get this in the other cave. That's called the Upside Down City. So New York, Manhattan, Gold Coast, for me, it's like a sci-fi planet. Yeah, I think that's what it reminds me of. And then you get ones like this. Part of the penny is this rock here, it's not natural. That was put in the 50s just to reinforce. So that's my movie rock. Like I do many movies off this, but I'll do one. I'll do Pride Rock Lion King, and I'm gonna leave it at that pretty much. But I could do probably about 50 more. So in here you get like old style king or Neptune or old person. You get eyes there, and you get mouth there. It looks like many things, to be honest. And then you get these ones. It looks like cave art or a painting, but it's not. It's just where the iron oxide runs. Here you get a head of a dragon. See right there? It's breathing fire right there. And its body and wing right around that way. And then this one, you only get part animal. You get a head of a dolphin in the rusty colour, winking at you. And above it is like a dragon-looking species. And he's blowing like little bits of fire at the bottom like white. So it depends how you see things. Show these last couple and we'll leave it at that. So that's called the chandelier, that one there. And then you get like little, they're like sculptures, statues. So this one here, I'd say someone making a basket or on a potter's wheel, or texting or something like that on an iPad, and it just looks like different things, depends on where you're staying. There's lots of movie-like things in here, to say the least. Where you get someone who's a really sci-fi or horror fan and stuff like that, or Lord of the Rings kind of person, you get loads of things. So occasionally in here, because this is the highest chain we got, it creates amazing sound in here. So over time we've had things like choirs in here. We've also had people chanting and things like that over the years. In my time here, the last 5-6 years I've worked here, I haven't done many choirs. I've probably had more solo singers. So my biggest bag last year, my biggest choir ever was 60 people in here. And it would taken me 5 years to get a choir like that. 3 guides brought them in, and they were a California church choir. They'd been in Canberra 2 days before. They were coming round for the bushfire relief. First time since lockdown they could come round. So this was their day off as such. So they did 1 song in here and 1 song in the next area. And they literally filled in here and they filled to the top of the stairs there. So, and 5 of them didn't come in because they saw the first tunnel and claustrophobia hit, and that was it. So they went and had early lunch. So, and it's not every day we get that. We normally every other week we get like school groups and they'll do that, their camp song and things like that. That's what we tend to get. So, and there's also been a couple of weddings in the past as well. I think it's more in the past. But you can by permit get married, and we're not really wed venue. I've not known any of my work time. So where we're going to go now, we're going to go up and along. There's a big hole here and 2 up there. This one here goes out that way and eventually goes out to the 3rd cave, which is Federal, and that's the one just behind the information centre. That was discovered 5 years after this one by Freddie John Wilson and William Bonwick government worker. And that would be the last, really, of the big chambers to be found. So lots of them obviously were known by the Aboriginal people for a long, long time. It's probably some of the harder ones, maybe, that have been discovered later, around this area. So anyway, we'll go up now, we'll go up, we'll go along, but if you want to go in a photograph from there, obviously we do. Look at the hole on the left and go to the next chamber. There's an image of a kangaroo right there for us. So the people have already photographed in, if you want to lead the way, and then you can go in and photograph. Yep. So you can lead the way, you can be the guide. I'll be extremely quiet.
Can you lead that? Just go up first.
I know.
video bukan
You've got an active imagination to come up with 2 toe bones for a kangaroo, so this is why the image obviously needed. So also what you're getting here as well is the best cave coral we've got. Out of the 2 caves, or let's put it this way, the most pristine. And the other cave is very dried out. It's commonish, but it only grows at the back end of this cave. It's moved in water, grows out like this, like a nodule. It's commonly called popcorn or cauliflower and link. It's very frozen kind of link. It runs right there and here, and it runs along this side as well. And this side as well, you get a lot of quartz again, and then you get a lot of these little fossils again, right through there. Just tiny things. So anyway, we'll go and walk up, have a look at the last drop down, wait for me right by the white light box. No.
And the family bones in here. So we may
Three.
Oh wow, okay.
Okay? Right, I'll turn you back on.
I cannot see.
It's literally, there's nothing. You know, and these are the only 2 caves that I've got lighting through. So everything else, even Federal when we used to have it open 4 years ago, and Lily Pilly Marinda, which are the ones 42 million years old, 20 k's from here, you've got to have a headlamp and light through there. That's why they only used to be open like certain days during summer holidays and also during the Easter holidays. So they haven't been open because obviously with floods and everything else we've had in the last few years. So, but that's, yeah, in those caves you definitely get that link through anyone before, Frank Moon, Aboriginal people, anyone around the world. That goes through with basic light. Like we live in a good era really, that the lighting's way superior.
A little gift from you. That's the last.
No, not here.
Oh, right. Get to their way. That's true, so as long as we can go through. We're lucky we come out, it's a lovely, warmish day, I won't say warm. Yeah. As good as we're going to get, really.
There might be snakes around here.
So pretty much,
Snake trip.
we've ended up probably towards maybe nearly 3/4 way up the hill. Children's playground's there, and information centre's there. Pretty much we've come through that way today, about 520 metres. So it's just over, or just under another 2.5 kilometres worth of cave for this particular cave system. I'd say the 4th cave has always been inaccessible. It's probably only the 3rd one, the ferry, that has been used. and these are still the same two that are used 100 odd years later. So that's how good a cave they are. Even though there's lots of others out there, a lot of them are just private land, called significance, or they're just too dangerous. You know, simple as that. You've got to be a caver soon. Yeah. So anyway, thank you for being part of the tour today. Depending on where you're going, it's what you're doing. If you're information only, just go straight down that way. If you're where we first started, straight down that way. Is anyone on Fairy Cave tour after? Nope, easy as up. So I'm not good direct. Enjoy your day. Enjoy the rest of the holidays.
We have a question
Yeah.
about oxygen.
So we're
It's pretty good. They check for it, but it is good. But if you think we could run on East here, and we can, when we do this, we could do 1,000 Yeah, oh yeah, everything. This is part and all this.
Okay. Hello.
It's part of the black radon stuff and other things. I just mind this. There's just stuff like that. Yeah, they come through. No, they're not cool. No,